Hi there, today on Typical Books, it is new horror books coming out for March. Now, I think I missed this video last month. It's just been awfully busy, and you might be able to tell because it is dark and late out. It's a little darker than usual. I know I have artificial lights, but I normally do these videos in the morning. I just haven't had time, so here we are on a weekend when I'm fully relaxed, maybe a little too relaxed. But we've got quite a few books coming out in March from horror writers, association authors, and others. I figured I'm going to start mixing in more of the mainstream books. A lot of these authors are Horror Writers Association authors, but they haven't submitted to the new releases page, which I'll link down below. On that page is a lot of books that may not have crossed your radar, so I do like to highlight them here, like this one, March 2nd, Joey Leonard's Last Horror Movie Marathon by Kevin Lucia. As the last video rental store in Clifton Heights, New York closes down, Joey finds a mysterious videotape among the remains. Watching it will alter his world and maybe the entire world forever, as a door has opened. All he needs to do is step through. Looks like this may be his last movie marathon. And this sounds like a book that I had on the list not too long ago. But yeah, I like this. Last movie rental store. I mean, heaven forbid, this is coming around the bend. And I like lost footage, found footage type stories, right? March 7th, we have American Cannibal by Rebecca Rowland. And this is an anthology. I'm very interested in checking this out. Forget what you read in the textbooks. Everything you were taught about the land of liberty will be history, as the annals of America are reimagined with cannibalism by 20 of the most imaginative and prolific horror authors writing today. Read with caution. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And repeat is spelled R-E-P-E-A-T. I like cannibal stories, so looking forward to that. Also on March 7th, The God of Endings, a novel by Jacqueline Holland, and I haven't heard much about this myself. I don't know if maybe you have. Where do you learn about new books? I'm always curious as to where people learn about new things. I used to always be curious about where people learned about new music coming out. There's so many places to learn, right? Colette Lesage has been hiding a dark truth. She is immortal. In 1834, Colette's grandfather granted her the gift of eternal life, and since then, she has endured centuries of turmoil and heartache. Now, almost 150 years later, Colette is a lonely artist running an elite fine art school for children in upstate New York. But her life is suddenly upended by the arrival of a gifted child from a troubled home, the return of a stalking presence from her past, and her own mysteriously growing hunger for blood. Mysterious, eh? You've lived 150 years, lady. I mean, it's not so mysterious after all, is it? Anyway, this is likened to, of course, Anne Rice novels and Interview with the Vampire. So maybe this will be up your alley if you are a vampire fan. The London Seance Society, a novel by Sarah Penner. And this is the beginning of many of these books start with a novel. And the description ends with an ellipsis. And it's just weird to me. Is that a trend? That's a new trend? I think it's a new trend. It's also March 7th still here. 1873, at an abandoned chateau on the outskirts of Paris. A dark seance is about to take place, led by acclaimed spiritualist Vaudeline Dallaire. Known worldwide for her talent in conjuring the spirits of murder victims to ascertain the identities of people who killed them, she is highly sought after by widows and investigators alike. The description goes on. I'm kind of hooked already. I think that's all I need to read from the back of the book in the bookstore, so to speak. I like Abandoned Chateau on the Outskirts of Paris in 1873. And also March 7th, The Trees Grew Because I Bled There, Collected Stories by Eric LaRocca, which is awesome. I think he's averaging a book a month now, which is kind of cool. 8 stories of literary dark fiction from a master storyteller, exploring the shadow side of love. These are tales of grief, obsession, control, intricate examinations of trauma, and it goes on to describe how you're going to think about these stories instead of actually describing what the stories are themselves. A woman imagines horrific scenarios whilst caring for her infant niece. Online posts chronicle a cancer diagnosis. A couple in the park with their small child encounter a stranger with horrific consequences, a toxic relationship reaches a terrifying resolution. Well, interesting stuff. I still haven't read his last collection. I am eventually going to pick up all the Eric LaRocca I can, because it's very digestible. If anything, it's very digestible. Dark fiction. The Triangle Forest by Edward J. Flora. And this was one that is actually, upon reading the synopsis, I am very interested to pick this up. When Jeremy Walters discovers an ancient alien substance in the Triangle Forest, his desperation to fix the past turns into an obsession. Dabbling in such powers is dangerous, but doesn't compare to his consequences of learning he isn't the only one with a desire to control it. Jeremy means to go on his journey alone, but when Ezra Ortiz discovers the truth, he tries to stop his friend from making a terrible mistake. It doesn't sound like there's a lot going on there, but then I'm like, an ancient alien substance in the Triangle Forest. It's that first line that really got me. So yeah, I want to know more about the Triangle Forest. And the next book that I do also really want to check out, Pinata, a novel by Leopoldo Gaut. And this is on March 14th. It was supposed to be a perfect summer. Carmen Sanchez is back in Mexico supervising the renovation of an ancient abbey. It's these first lines of these summaries that really get to me, huh? Her daughters, Isel and Luna, too young to be left alone in New York, join her on what Carmen hopes is a chance for them to connect with their roots. Then an accident at the worksite unearths a stash of rare, centuries-old artifacts. The disaster costs Carmen her job, cutting their family trip short. But something malevolent and unexplainable follows them home to New York like it always does. You know how that goes. Stalking the Sanchez family and heralding a coming catastrophe. And it may already be too late to escape what has been awakened. So it's like Reverse Amityville, which I love. Reverse Amityville from Mexico. So a little traveling, right? March 15th, Suburban Monsters by Christopher Hawkins. 13 chilling tales of the horrors lurking right next door. From the house at the end of the block with the overgrown lawn, which you gotta avoid, to the darkened store window in a shopping mall, to the secrets hidden in a children's TV show. All of those premises are very intriguing to me. There are a lot of ghost malls, dirt malls you might call them, dying malls where I come from and around here. And we live near one that was recently torn down, and seeing like the dying, deserted, dead, then demolished mall is just so creepy to me. So yeah, very interested in Suburban Monsters. March 21st, The Shoemaker's Magician by Cynthia Pelayo. This is part 2 in a series. Paloma has been watching the Grand Vespertillo show her entire life. Grand, America's most beloved horror host, showcases classic, low-budget, and cult horror movies with a flourish, don't they all? Wearing his black tuxedo and hat, but Paloma has noticed something strange about Grand, stranger than his dark makeup and gothic television set. So yeah, I haven't read a lot of Cynthia Pelayo, and I ought to. March 28th, Chlorine, a novel by Jade Song. And I want this to be Mermaid in a Manhole, and I know it's not gonna be, but maybe I can hold out hope that it's gonna get dark, real dark. Ren Yu is a swimmer. Her daily life starts and ends with a pool. Her teammates are her only friends, her coach, her guiding light. If she swims well enough, she will be scouted, get a scholarship, go to a good school. Her parents will love her, and her coach will be kind to her, and she will have a good life. But these are human concerns. These are the concerns of those confined to land and those with legs. Ren grew up on the stories of creatures of the deep, of the oceans and rivers. Ones that called sailors to their doom, ones that dragged them down and drowned them, ones that feasted on their flesh, ones of the creature that she's always longed to become, a mermaid. So maybe not Mermaid in a Manhole, but something ravenous, right? Like, I want it to get dark, and I love the way that description went from very light to very dark. Lone Women, a novel by Victor Laval, comes out March 28th. Adelaide Henry carries an enormous steamer trunk with her wherever she goes. It's locked at all times because when the trunk opens, people around Adelaide begin to disappear. The year is 1915 and Adelaide is in trouble. Her secret sin killed her parents, forcing her to flee California in a hellfire rush to make her way to Montana as a homesteader, dragging the trunk with her at every stop. She will become one of the lone women taking advantage of the government's offer of free land to those who can tame it, and Adelaide isn't alone, and the secret she's tried so desperately to lock away might be the only thing to help her survive this harsh territory. Homesteader horror isn't my forte, but I like the steamer trunk. H.H. Holmes had a steamer trunk as well. The Human Origins of Beatrice Porter and Other Essential Ghosts, a novel by Soraya Palmer. This comes out March 28th. Sisters Zora and Sasha Porter are drifting apart, bearing witness to their father's violence and their mother's worsening illness. The unsettled Zora escapes into her journal, dreaming of becoming a writer, while Sarah discovers sex and chest binding, spending more and more time with her new girlfriend than at home. But the sisters, like their parents, must come together to answer to something more ancient and powerful than they know, and reckon with a family secret buried in the past. Nothing like a good family secret to bring you all together. That sounds interesting. March 31st, this is the last book on the list, Dudley Road by M. John Doe, and this book looks interesting to me, mostly because it says based on true events. I'll never forget the summer of 1997, not for as long as I live. We've all heard the disturbing tales and creepy urban legends about the decaying old building sitting on Dudley Road. But when my friends and I finally gathered up the courage to visit, we concluded that they were nothing more than silly stories. We were wrong. When we left, we took something with us. I'm being haunted and they swear they won't rest until I return it to them. I try to ignore them, but when paranormal events start terrorizing me, I know that they're dead serious. And when my friends start to go missing one by one, I'm terrified that I'm next. And that reminds me a hell of a lot of Scanlines by Todd Kiesling, which I really enjoyed. So we'll find out what Dudley Road is all about. Is there anything there that you've already read or that you are going to add to your list? There's a lot of really cool books always in these lists of new books coming out from Horror Writers Association authors and associated horror authors who may be your favorites. So you can find them at horror.org/new releases or all of them at typicalbooks.com, which I'll leave below. And I'll be looking down below in the comments to see if any of these books are being added to your list or if you've read them already. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching and have an ooky, spooky day.